Tuesday, October 5th, 25th, 2022. It's been a while. I'm rusty. Give me a break. Welcome to the Pack a Day podcast, everybody. I'm your host today. I'm Jacob Westendorf, not joined by my namesake, usual compadre, Jacob Morley. Congratulations to Morley as he got married this weekend. So he is enjoying being a newlywed. So congratulations to him for that. I am joined tonight by the publisher of Packer Report, and as you can see in the background, the North Dakota State Bison. That's probably the one he's more willing to claim at this moment due to the state of the Green Bay Packers. Ross Uglum. Ross, welcome to the show.
What's up, everybody?
It's good to be. Well, I don't know if it's good to be here, but
I'm in it, the same as all of you, I guess.
It's tough. And here's where I want to start. So the Packers are now 3-4. And Ross, I've known you for a long time, and you're the optimist of all optimists, most of the time at least. When we talk about, if you take the most optimistic view after or before this game against Washington, you could say, well, they lost to 5-1 Minnesota, fraudulent, by the way. The now 6-1 Giants, also fraudulent, by the way. And the New York Jets, who were 4-2 going into the game, and I believe they won yesterday, so they should be 5-2 now. Also, probably fraudulent. Whatever, that's
yeah. So I saw this tweet here. Those Vikings might be fraudulent, but they're going to be a fraudulent 13 or 14 win team. Listen to this: what they have left on their schedule: 7 of the final 11 quarterbacks, and they probably will beat Green Bay in Green Bay unless something changes. They play Taylor Heineke, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, Jared Goff, Sam Ehlinger, Daniel Jones, and Dustin Fields. And maybe we take Daniel Jones off that list. I don't know, but it's. The fraudulent Vikings are about to have a real non-fraudulent record here soon.
They're the 2019 Packers. It certainly feels that way.
Yeah, potentially.
So you look at that. The optimist of optimist view, though, is they've lost to only good teams. And, they beat Chicago, and then they beat Tampa Bay, and they beat, those. And Tampa Bay, apparently, that isn't even a good win anymore. They stink, too. So if that's the optimist of optimist view, the joke I made yesterday is, well, the good news is that the Washington Commanders are a juggernaut, and the Packers lost to them by 2, but not a game that was competitive in the box score, and it was 23-14 with, 3 minutes left or something like that. You had to stop Taylor Heineke to get the ball back to have a chance to get a game-winning field goal, and, of course, predictably, they did not. What is, after that game, your confidence level? And granted, this is Monday. We're recording this on a Monday, so I'm asking for maybe a little overreactionary take, and I certainly am open to suggesting that might be what we're doing. But what is your confidence level that they can turn this around after what is very, very likely to be a 3-5 start after getting hammered in Buffalo by the Bills on Sunday night?
Yeah, I don't know what I don't know what confidence in what confidence.
Well, they're not winning the division. We just talked about that.
Right. So, yeah, it's a 2 out of 10. I don't know. It's in the division, whatever. We've talked ad nauseum about how little the division championships under Matt LaFleur have meant because of how the season ends. So if they don't mean much while you're winning them, they don't mean much while you're not winning them. What's my confidence level that they could become the 7th seed and pull a 2011 Giants? I don't know. I think the biggest thing for me is they could get healthy on offense. Randall Cobb could come back. Christian Watson could get rid of this hamstring thing. David Bakhtiari could become himself again. Elton Jenkins could become himself again, maybe even specifically after the bye. I think there's a path forward for the offense. Rodgers goes into RELAX mode one last time, and I know Devontae's not there, but Dubs, confidence grows, and you get Dubs and Watson and Cobb and Lazard all out there, all healthy. In that offense was at least, workable. You saw flashes of that even in the Giants game that they lost before Watson hurt his hamstring on the play that he got held and nobody called any penalties. I think you could get your way, maybe not to a 2010 offense, but to an offense that's functional. And obviously not to the point of a 2011 offense, but the problem is that the 2010 defense isn't walking through that door. Nobody's hurt on the defense. Everybody's playing. They're coached poorly and they're coordinated poorly. And on a like the plan is bad and the teaching is bad, and there's a chance that some of the players are bad. Like there's a chance that some of what we thought were excellent decisions maybe just aren't. Darnell Savage may never make it. Adrian Amos may be over the hill. This is a weird week to say it, but Devondre Campbell might not have been worth the money they paid him. Quay Walker might have been a bad pick. You can go kind of down the line with this. Rashawn Gary might be a one-trick point. It's a hell of a trick. But if he doesn't set an edge at some point in the next calendar year here, I'm going to lose my mind. So, a lot of I don't have faith that the defense can get any better because I think the coordinator stinks, and I don't know that the talent can overcome that. I don't know that there's some magic. Like you could walk me into the offense revitalizing itself with, Roger. It's not like he was good 3 years ago, the freaking MVP last year. And he's been bad. I don't want to come on here and say, he has been bad. He himself has been bad, but his form is last year. He was the most valuable player in the league last year, not in 2018. So it's not like you're reaching for some fountain of youth. You just got to get kind of back to where you were. And, maybe it's a slow start to the season. Like, don't do ayahuasca all summer and spring and not show up to OTAs and all those kind of things. And maybe you'll have faster starts to the season, but you can talk me into reasons that the offense could get back to a little above league average. I'll buy that. I'm not buying the defense, by the way. To win a title, if you have a slightly above average offense, you better have elite defense and special teams, and you're never going to talk me into that for this group. You're not. So
no, and their special teams is better like this year, but it's still bad. Like they're still bad. They fumbled a punt yesterday. They won't replace the punt returner that continues to fumble punts. They had a punt. They were what? They blocked a field goal or they blocked a punt.
Yeah. The worst thing about that Amari thing too is like he's not explosive.
No.
I've lived through punt returners that are fun and terrifying, but it's only terrifying one way with Amari. Like it's not like Deshaun Jackson where he drops a punt, picks it up, and goes and returns it to the house. Amari's never getting to the house.
No.
So what?
And yesterday they had what was it? They had a penalty inside the 10 in Green Bay. Like it took the penalty and made them punt again. And it's like, you're going to give Amari Rodgers another chance to jack this up. That's incredible to me that they would even think that way.
Yeah. And so for me, honestly, I just would probably get somebody, even if you're just fair catching, get somebody back there that you really trust to secure the football. Like that year that they had old Tramon Williams, not young Tramon Williams, old Tramon Williams go back and fair catch important punts. That might be a place that they're at. I don't know.
And that could be, and it might. My thing about it is like we were talking pre-show, and you were like, "Well, who else do they have that they can put back there?" And I was like, there has to be a veteran that has done this before. And like you said, I'm not asking him to be Allen Rossum. I'm not asking him to be Micah Hyde from 2014. I'm asking him to catch the ball and promise me that when the other team punts, that the Packers are going to end up with the football at the end of the punt. And I can't feel that way right now with Amari Rodgers. And like you said, it's not like somebody said the other day, like, is he the new version of Jeremy Ross? To which my response was, Jeremy Ross was explosive. Like there were times where you like stood to the edge of your seat and thought he might house this thing.
Yeah.
Amari's never had that. He's never had that on offense. He's never had that on defense. He's never had that on, well, obviously not on defense. He's never had that on special teams either. He's just never looked like an NFL player. And that's not to pile on to Amari Rodgers. I just don't understand. And that's where like some of my struggle comes with the team as a whole, the fascination that this coaching staff has as a whole with players that aren't very good. And frankly, that is more so on the offensive side of the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, you can see it's basically the same guys playing. The only interchangeable piece is like, do they play Rudy Ford instead of Quay Walker since everybody's been healthy? And obviously the defensive linemen rotate in and out. But I don't think there's any glaring issues on the defensive line rotation maybe you'd like that Devontae Wyatt could play more since he's a first-round pick and he's 29 years old or however old he is. But that's not fascination with bad players in front of him. It's guys that have either done it for them before or been relatively good, like Jaron Reed. The offensive side of the ball, however, Amari Rodgers is a guy like that. He doesn't play much offense, but he is out there on special teams. Royce Newman, Jake Hansen, like it took injuries and desperation for them to play a guy that, and granted, we're just guys on the internet, but guys on the internet said, Zach Tom, why not give him a look? And in his first game, he plays better than maybe any game Royce Newman has ever played, especially true in the past set. The Packers limited that front to one quarterback hit, and it was late in the game. So, and that's without David Bakhtiari. To me, that group is relatively solid, but they have a coaching staff that is unwilling, unable, whatever it is. I'm not sure what the deal is with the offensive line because Matt LaFleur is really smart, I think. Adam Stenavich is really smart, I think. Luke Butkus, by extension, really smart, I think. But they've had an odd loyalty to players that just aren't it. And when you look at, like, before the season, the first week of the season, they don't have Elton, they don't have Bakhtiari. That's a bad position for anyone to be in. But they started both of those guys. They started Royce Newman and Jake Hansen. And it was very obvious pretty quickly, I think, that those, like, one, Royce Newman's not a right tackle. And Jake Hansen shouldn't be doing anything other than playing center. Like, he's worse than Lucas Patrick is at guard and a center only, like the way Lucas Patrick should be in that way. So my confidence level, you said 2. I mean, yeah, what am I saying? Like a wild card playoff team? 2 is appropriate. And like you said, that's basically based around things that I don't know if they exist anymore. You know, you were talking about Aaron Rodgers and just getting back to his form from last season. I don't know if he can. I don't know if the group around him is good enough. I don't know if they're coached well enough on the offensive side of the ball. And then you get to a defense that we talked about this a lot. Ross, you and I might have been the only ones saying, like, hey, this defense wasn't good last year. And the blueprint for this team is supposed to be having a defense that wasn't good to be, like I said, the 2013 Seattle Seahawks or 2010 Packers, whatever you get from, you know, the 2018 Chicago Bears, whatever way you're looking at it. And now you're looking at, not only are they poorly coached and are things poorly executed, even when they get something drawn up right, they get pressure with Kenny Clark yesterday, one of their best players. Taylor Heineke throws up a prayer for at Jair Alexander. Yeah, absolutely. Closes his eyes, throws up a prayer at Jair Alexander, and Alexander gets beat. And you've got guys that Eric Stokes not having a good season. Darnell Savage, like you said, might never make it. Adrian Amos may not be it anymore. Drake Campbell, Quay Walker, Gary and Preston have both been solid, but I mean, every mistake for them is killer.
The Stokes thing bothers me a little bit because I actually thought he played pretty well, and that was just the worst call I've ever seen. And the official, look, they didn't lose because of the refs. Although if that call doesn't get overturned, they are up 20-21 to whatever it was. And anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is, Stokes is going to get a bad rap for that play, which honestly I thought was ridiculous. I thought that the tailback for Washington initiated the contact, and I thought that was just awful. But whatever. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it was. You're right, and it's hard. But I mean, here's the thing: is Stokes may have played well yesterday
against Minnesota, and yeah, I know.
Yeah, there's other games that way, and the Packers have just. They have a bunch of pieces, and it seems like every mistake, and this is the problem on both sides of the ball, every mistake is a killer. As soon as they took the touchdown for Rasul Douglas off the board, I said, I know Washington is scoring. Lo and behold, they did. The Packers, if it's 1st and 20, if they get a holding penalty on first down, just punt, because you're not picking up a first down unless there's a defensive penalty or just a complete drop in coverage or something by the defense, but they can't sustain anything.
Stokes has that he has taken a significant step back. I mean, I'm just looking at some of his very raw PFF numbers, not his grading. His grading stinks, but like he's given up 87% of the balls thrown his way for 13 yards a catch. I don't know what to tell you after that.
Almost 90% of the time, throw it towards Stokes' guy and he's going to get a first down is basically what those numbers mean. That's tough and that's hard. And when you
no INT, no PBU.
No. And then, like, that's the other thing is until yesterday, They weren't making plays on the ball. And frankly, like they still should have had, they ended up with one turnover that counted yesterday. And they should have had probably 3 or 4 more. Like Heineke was throwing YOLO balls in the first quarter and just nothing to show for it.
So his passer rating against as a rookie last year was 79.1, which is not prime Nnamdi Asomugha or prime Revis, but in this day and age,
second corner, that's really good.
In this day and age, most QBs are upper 90s, low 100s in passer rating. So 79.1 is great. Eric Stokes' passer rating against this year is 129.7.
158.3 is perfect for those of you that don't know that.
That's 2011 Rodgers every time you throw the ball at Eric Stokes.
Yeah, and that's hard. And that's the thing. And again, it goes back to me, and when we talk about, playing the blame game and we talk pre-show, sometimes the answer is just everything, everyone. Like there are things that you can see that haven't gone well, but Davante Adams gets traded. Davante doesn't want to be here anymore. He wants to go play in Vegas in front of his family for his childhood team. Fine, cool. I respect that. That is totally fine. Pivoting from there to then build your team's identity around 2 running backs, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, and a defense that has not been good in a decade to now all of a sudden be really, really good in 2022. And we talk about this all the time. How do you win? Like everybody can sit up here and say, oh, there's different ways to win. And you can do this and you run the damn ball and whatever other, phrasing it is that people want to use. You're asking for an outlier. Like there's a reason the San Francisco 49ers were not just content. That is the ultimate defense and run the ball team with Jimmy Garoppolo. There is a reason that team traded 1 million picks to go get Trey Lance, because they know if you want to be good consistently, and especially in this league where every single rule is tilted towards passing the ball, it would be the equivalent of if an NBA team right now built their team around prime Dwight Howard and we're just going to dump the ball in the post all the time and let him shoot 5-footers and hope to not get run off the floor. Like that is what the Packers have done. They have tried to zag while everyone zigged, and it is a bad plan. It was a bad plan. And I mean, granted, I'm saying all this, and I told you guys before the season, I picked the Packers to win 11 games. And I did that on the assumption that like Aaron Rodgers would still be able to do things. LaFleur would still be, and the offense would be, as Ross said, passable, functional, which they are not right now. But I never expected them to be a Super Bowl contender with that plan. And it doesn't help, especially when that is your plan. That is how your roster is built. And you don't get the ball in the hands of Aaron Jones enough. And A.J. Dillon, Ross, I don't know what your thoughts are on him, but A.J. Dillon looks like he's running in cement, man.
Dude, it's bad. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he got dinged up during camp. I don't know. It's bad. And yeah, I don't know.
And he was never going to be like you're not going to hand him the ball and see you 50 yards down the field. Like his explosive runs are going to be, 20 yards at a top. Maybe run through a couple guys. There'll be a few.
Right, you break 3 or 4 tackles, yeah.
And he's not doing that. He's not catching the ball. Like I think he's been bad in the passing game this year outside of pass protection. And the Packers just forget for series at a time that Aaron Jones even exists. And part of that is because, like LaFleur said in his presser today, when you're at 1st and 20, 2nd and 16, like you can't run the ball because you're basically conceding that, okay, well, we're going to punt because we're that far behind the chains. And that's another thing. The Packers have absolutely zero margin for error. If something goes wrong, then they're in really bad shape. And I think that one of the issues that I want to talk to you about is everyone, and these are Twitter narratives, so just take them for what they are, but they talk about, oh, the Packers make a mistake and then they turtle and they become a shell of themselves. It's like, I think that's incredibly arrogant thinking, because in 2020, sure, totally fair. Even last year, totally fair. That is an offense in 2020 that was the best in the league. That is an offense last year that was in the top 5 in the league. This year's offense is not that. And to say a mistake causes them to completely turtle, I think they're just kind of performing to maybe not what they are, but what they are, or what they will be, but what they are right now. And what they are right now is a team with injured offensive linemen working their way back. They shuffle their offensive line every week, under-talented wide receivers that aren't being used well, and a $50 million quarterback that's not playing well enough. So what is your take on just kind of all of that discourse?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm in a tough spot because I would have let Aaron Jones walk and I would have handed his job to Kylan Hill or whomever. Like I wouldn't ever burn a second round pick and a second contract on a running back. It couldn't be me. So I disagree with this team philosophically in a lot of ways. And it's funny because I have a very like Ted Thompson view of roster building, and arguably towards the end of the McCarthy era, I think he missed on some stuff at premium positions, Quentin Rollins, Demarius Randall, and that caused problems in the future. But like burning a second round pick on AJ Dillon, a third round pick on Josiah DeGuara, a first round pick on Quay Walker, like those are things I would just never do. So for me, it's tough because I disagree philosophically with a lot of what they've done, frankly. Now, granted, I loved the Christian Watson pick. I loved the Devontae Wyatt pick. I was fine with the Stokes pick. I thought it was a little bit of a reach, but it's still at a premium position. But like I said, I would have absolutely used Aaron Jones's money somewhere else. I think, I don't know that last year's defense, and of course, Kylan Hill blew his knee to shreds, but I don't know that last year's offense is that much different with Davante Adams in position. And if the two running backs are Kylan Hill and AJ Dillon instead of Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, and that is not to disparage Aaron Jones at all. I don't know how much it matters in this year's NFL. I mean, you look at how good the Chiefs are. They never have a functioning running back, even though they burned a first round pick on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The San Francisco 49ers have done a million things, even though they keep desperately trying to burn high capital on running backs like Christian McCaffrey, like, burning high picks on Trey Sermon, whatever. Their best team was Raheem Mostert's show at the tailback position. I could kind of go on and on how good Buffalo is. Who is Buffalo's starting running back? I don't know. Exactly.
Devin Singletary, and I think
Right.
I only know that because I tried to trade for him in fantasy.
Yeah,
so.
but I mean, like, I wouldn't build a team that way. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't do it. So I differ philosophically with what they've got going on a lot of the times anyway. I wouldn't do it that way. I would pass rushers, left tackles, quarterbacks, cornerbacks, and then maybe sprinkle some wide receivers in there. Like, that's what I am about. I don't really off-ball linebacker, no thank you. Tailback, no thank you. Fullback, tight end, hybrid guy, no thank you. I mean,
they won't even put him on the field. Like, he's a top 100 pick, and he can't even get on the field.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's not playing enough, and it's not like the Packers are. Like, Jermichael Finley's not playing tight end. They don't have an explosive player.
It's not like they've got the Fab Five out there where they just have, Jordy and Cobb and Devontae and James Jones, and they have to work in these wide receivers. They don't have to work in these wide receivers. There's heavy package stuff that could go on. I don't know.
Could and should, frankly, because with the personnel on this offense, that is their best path to victory at this point.
I'll say that
now.
I'll say this. I think, in this Twitter world, I am not in any way suggesting or wanting to move on from Matt LaFleur. They need to find a new defensive coordinator as soon as they're able. But the same goes for Brian Gutekunst. Even though the Stokes pick might not work out and whatever, like, the Jordan Love thing, I can never forgive. But outside of that, I mean, there have been enough good signings and good picks along the way where this could be more of a learning experience and you move forward, and he does get the chance to build whatever this team is going to be post Aaron Rodgers. I don't necessarily want to move on from Brian and have someone else do that build. But I think there do have to be things that are learned from how you got to this place.
Yeah, and one of those things I tweeted about last week after my thread that made me friends with a lot of Packers Twitter. I suggested that, and I wrote it for Packer Report, so I can't even hide from it. It's still out there. It's published. It's written. I wrote it the day after the Packers lost to the 49ers. I said it was time to trade Aaron Rodgers, and that is not a unpopular take amongst media types, it doesn't seem. I know Andy Herman is certainly on that wagon. He's talked about it quite a bit, and that's not a representation of my belief in Jordan Love. I've told you guys, again, same website I wrote for, Packer Report, I had him as a C prospect when they drafted him in the first round. Not a fan. Don't like the pick before they made it. Don't understand why, all that stuff. But what I talked about after that is one of my concerns with Gutekunst long-term, and this isn't for me to say, like, he's built 3 13-win rosters. That is a thing that happened. He helped hire Matt LaFleur. That is a thing that happened, and those are good things, objectively, especially when you consider we were having a lot of these same conversations in 2018, but it felt like a much darker time because you just didn't know what the future held. Now you can at least have some recent past success where you can be like, okay, this guy's still pretty good. That guy's still good, stuff like that. The issue I have with Brian Gutekunst is what appears to be over since 2019, a lack of direction. And here's what I mean by that. So 2018, he gets hired. He basically does the Ted Thompson thing. Cut this guy, cut that guy, clean up the cap, fire the head coach, pick my own guy, all that stuff. All those things happen. 2019, he spends a boatload of money. The Smith brothers, Adrian Amos, Billy Turner. That is a push your chips to the center. We are in to win right now type of move. Spends 2 first-round picks on Gary and Savage, picks another starter in the second round in Elton Jenkins. They get to the NFC title game. They realize they don't belong on the same field as that San Francisco team. Okay. Then he drafts Jordan Love, which is a blatant look to the future type of move. Aaron Rodgers responds by winning the MVP. The Packers play a home NFC championship game against the Tampa Bay Bucks, a team they're better than. They don't win. Okay. Brian Gutekunst spends that entire offseason essentially begging Aaron Rodgers to come back and play for this Packers team. Pushes all the money out into the future, does all the things that everyone has said that they've never done before, doesn't spend a ton of money in free agency because of the issue that is the quarterback contract situation, but keeps everyone together when, honestly, under Ted Thompson, I bet you some of the guys they kept, Preston Smith, Billy Turner, just to name a few guys, probably wouldn't have been on the team. Another all-in type of move. They go and they lose to San Francisco in the divisional round the next year, regress from the year prior. Then he goes in the offseason. They give a $50 million contract extension to Aaron Rodgers, a we are winning right now type of move. Devontae Adams says he doesn't want to be here, so they trade him for draft picks, which is all they could trade him for. They couldn't trade him for players. That's a collective bargaining agreement rule. Then uses those 4 picks to turn them into 3 to pick a guy who, Ross, you yourself said, Christian Watson's going to be wide receiver 4 at best in his first season. Devontae Wyatt, they're redshirting him, and Quay Walker is somebody who, even at his peak of peak in rookie season, is going to take a while. They're taking guys and using their draft approach as drafting for the future, which in a general sense is a very good thing. It's the reason the Packers have been successful as long as they have. However, when you sign the 38-year-old quarterback and give him $50 million and compromise, mortgage the future, whatever phrase you want to use for the salary cap, you cannot have your solution to the Devontae Adams-less offense be the 2 running backs that we drafted, which is a 1998 kind of thinking, and a bad veteran, Sammy Watkins, which, I mean, okay, that's a little bit of rhetoric by me there, and 2 rookies who, yes, Romeo Doubs has shown some nice things. Absolutely. Christian Watson, it's at least very apparent that you can see the tools. But that was never going to be enough to fix this offense and make it championship level, while also saying the defense on that side of the ball, you're picking guys and hoping for long-term stuff. I just don't understand. Gutekunst has attempted to continuously try to have, and not only that, Ross, you've asked this before. Why the hell is Jordan Love still here? Like, once you give the quarterback an extension, you get Jordan Love for a bag of footballs. Like, that is something you got to trade him for guys that are going to help you win right now. And that is the direction that they took. And Gutekunst, to me, since 2019, doesn't seem to know what direction he wants to take. My opinion, I don't care what you do. If you want to go the Jordan Love route, not the route I would have gone, but if you want to go that Jordan Love route, then you got to commit to that. If you're going to go the Aaron Rodgers route, which is the route you chose, you got to commit to that too. And he's too much in the middle for me over the last, especially 3 years.
And he's been put in a tough spot too. I think, with Rodgers bears a lot of the blame for for that, but I'm not saying it was handled perfectly either. You know, I think that original mess was largely of Murphy and Gutekunst making. And I don't think anybody's blameless. I don't think there's any reason for black and white. But I will say too, like I said, I don't know if I said it on Pack a Day, but I did say it on the radio in Wisconsin. You know, I would personally have picked one of, or excuse me, I would not have picked between Rodgers and Adams. I either would have had them both or neither. That was my take, and they didn't do it. And now they're kind of stuck in the middle. I mean, I would have bottomed out is what I would have done. You could have sold people on the future. You could have given Jordan Love a real look, like a real honest look, before you had to do some nonsense with a 5th-year option that he doesn't deserve and shouldn't get at $20 million for a year. And so I would have absolutely tried to get, 3 1s and 2 2s for the 2-time defending MVP, because you weren't going to be a whole lot worse than you are now. I mean, where are they going to be 2 and 5 instead of 3 and 4 right now? Whatever. I don't care. Probably get you closer to either a game-changing pass rusher, pass protector, or pass defender, or potentially Jordan Love's replacement. Exactly. Get you, into the Bryce Stroud territory or whomever. The kid for Ohio State or what? Again, I don't have time to do everything. Like, I'll get to the draft when I get to the draft. But I don't know, especially at the number that Rodgers ended up signing for. I don't know that there is another window unless he legitimately commits to playing until he's 40, 41 years old. Because you can figure that out just in the sense that the TV contract that the NFL is about to sign is going to rescue the Packers from their financial stupidity. That rescue is coming. But when you're stuck not knowing whether Rodgers is going to play through 2022, through 2023, or through 2026, it makes things hard. It makes things a little bit more complicated. But I got to move on with my life tonight here, Jacob.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. Appreciate you guys stopping in tonight. Follow the show on Twitter @PackADayPodcast. They tell you all the time that things are never as good or bad as you think they are. So if this didn't make you feel any better, I do apologize on that front. But I don't know how much sunshine and rainbows I can give to you, especially when the Packers play the best team in the NFL on Sunday. And I can't find it in me for a nobody's underdog type moment. I can't find it in me for RELAX, like, whatever you want to, whatever the things that have happened over the last, 10 plus years. But Pack a Day Podcast on Twitter. You can follow me. I'm @Jacob Westendorf. You can follow Ross. He's @Ross Uglum. We'll be back next week with hopefully the whole gang and be ready to talk about the Packers getting ready for the Detroit Lions and starting into November. So until next time, thanks for listening. Follow, rate, write, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll see you guys next time.